Good afternoon. This is the Townsend Finance Committee meeting Tuesday, April 25th at 4 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. A roll call vote for Finance Committee members present.
Mark Hussey.
Andrea Wood.
Sam Grant.
And Don Hayes. And with that, that's 4 members, but we have a quorum. We'll continue. If Carolyn Bezikas arrives, we'll continue and get her set when she arrives. This meeting is being recorded and it is also being played live on Channel 9. At this point on the agenda, the additions or deletions, I have
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I have added the review of the additional special town meeting articles and the annual town meeting articles as items 1 and 2 on the agenda. Visit them and finish that up before we start the omnibus budget review. We have taken roll call vote, so good.
Okay, and you did?
We did. We have a quorum.
Oh, all right.
Like, so
Okay.
we need you to.
Oh, Gerald Bezikas.
Yeah, thank you. And like, so we have the complete committee at 4. That's what I had for additions, and I'm going to delete. I thought I had deleted the Gov. We're going to delete the Gov software budget. So let me share while I'm thinking about it. And we're going to share everything. And so if you let me know if you see the agenda now. That's
See yours, see mine, both of them, yep.
so and these are the information I had spoken about adding. So that being said, and I know it's going to be hopefully there's a lot of information to get to in the meeting agenda. So we had additional information come in on the special town meeting articles. And so we had on the special town meeting, Article 19 was the Spalding school lease, and Article 20 was the listing of 97 Main Street for sale. We had not voted on them. We were looking for more information from Eric on that. So the school lease is pretty much, there's no revenue and no cost with it. It's setting up so that the North Middlesex Regional School District has authorization to use the building, and the Townsend Recreation Department also has agreement with the school district that they can use the facility as needed for their programs. Where there is no finance occurring, do we need to make a recommendation on it?
If there's no financial impact to the town, I don't believe so. That's just my opinion.
No, we don't.
Okay, then that's fine on there. We'll just do the no recommendation, and as we're not voting, we're just saying we're not going to recommend. It will go to the town and they will.
Shouldn't it be just no action taken rather than not recommend?
It's not,
No recommendation.
no recommendation.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think with
Make it clearer.
make it a little clearer and just say no action taken.
Okay.
Because no recommendation kind of says
Yeah.
we don't like it.
So we can do that. And again, this was something else I had on the agenda is to review what we had, what was written and what would be available to people attending town meeting, so.
There you go.
Okay, then the last would be the lease on 97 Main Street. I know we had discussed it and there was a question whether we, the town was responsible to clean, to clean the property before we did offer it for sale. And Mass General Law, Chapter 21E, was it, had the information that, Chapter 21E, Section 2. And it talks about, that the town shall not be deemed the owner, if we take it and put it up for sale. So that was an exception, and it is written, it's written in Mass General Law.
So we don't have to, or is it where the tank?
We don't have to, yeah, where there may have been leakage and things.
Yeah, we don't have
because-
to take care of it,
No, as we're actively trying to sell it.
just sell it as is,
as-
basically.
Yeah,
But
so,
how can we sell it if we don't own it? You can't sell my property.
no, it's an exception in the law that says if it's a town-owned property and we put it up for sale, that we have to disclose what is going on with the property. We don't have to clean it up. It's not.
Oh, okay.
So we're not trying to hide it from anybody, but because we're actively trying to sell it, it's an exception that says we are not the owner.
So
and
we
responsible for
acquired this piece of property,
tax taking.
okay,
Yeah, so we acquired the property by tax taking,
okay.
and so with it came the burden of the contaminated property. And by actively selling it, the Townsend does not have to sell it. Or not have to, or does not have to remediate the contamination. We just disclose it
Okay,
as we sell it, so. Again, do we say take no action, or do we want to vote and recommend that this pass? Because there would be a negative ramification to town that if we don't actively lease it, then we may be responsible.
so we wanna sell it.
We want to sell it, yeah, we want to actively be selling it.
Well, can we just say the recommendation of selling?
Yeah, we recommend article.
We recommend selling it,
Yeah, we recommend selling it.
putting it up for sale.
Do we know how contaminated the property still is?
Oh.
Probably not.
Probably not, and like,
Then why in the world would you think anybody would buy it?
Well, the price is right.
Well,
yes,
if
Yeah,
we
but the
disclose
price
all we
is
do
way
know
up.
about it, and the person comes along, he or she have the responsibility of testing to see how much is there. We can only tell them how much we do know about it.
right,
After that, it is their responsibility to know what they're buying beyond, as long as we have disclosed everything known.
Well, this business, doing it like that strikes me like selling the Brooklyn Bridge or something. It
Yeah.
just,
Fine, you want to buy a bridge? I got another one that in San Francisco needs an owner.
no, the normal real estate sale laws will prevail, that says you have to disclose anything you know about.
Right,
So it's kind of like, so we may not know the exact contamination level, but we know at one point it was a contaminated site.
so just upfront with that part.
Upfront with that part as we sell it, and it's not, let the buyer beware and check into it. We do have to have that full disclosure, but
who's responsible for providing that information? Board of Health?
Oh, that's a good question. It's kind of, my mind was going to, I believe it's the treasurer that has the responsibility to sell the properties. And,
She has responsibility for all tax title things.
right, yeah. And so sometimes there is outsourced, people, like third-party people buy the properties and sell it, and sometimes they would just try to sell the property. So it depends on the situation, how Melissa would be selling and progressing with the sale. Yeah. Okay.
I do think we have to make a recommendation one way or the other on this, because it does, whether it sells or doesn't sell, will have an impact, a monetary impact on the taxpayer.
Agreed, and so
I think we should, do we have to make a motion?
we need to make a motion like we do all the others that say we would recommend, passage of Article 20.
Yes.
Well, all right, so moved.
Okay, so we have a motion by Jerry to, recommend Article 20, that we list the property at 97 Main Street for sale. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Andrea.
Andrea.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? None being heard, roll call vote.
Gerald Bazikis, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yeah.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. Yeah. Somehow I did both.
Oh.
We,
So how do we get them to wait?
just, either way, we'll take a quick walk.
There we go.
We just needed to turn the lights back on. Thank you. Okay, so that would be it on reviewing articles and voting on the articles. Maybe. Now, those were the open ones. Well, okay, so we're good on that. And was there any other feedback on the recommendation sheet? Do we need to add anything, or was there something that wasn't clear to anybody?
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm all right too.
okay, thank you. Get a save on that. Okay, now, next on the agenda that I had added was the annual town meeting warrant articles. And this would be everything not related to the omnibus budget, which is Article 5. So if I go back and take a look at the, Article 5 is the budget. Article 6 related to the budget article. I gotta. Gotta find the warrant. Hang on. Sorry, we're gonna have to go by the whole budget. Article 6. At the end, Article 6 is related. This is a majority vote in appropriating the additional funds that for the override. We did have the regional school district came back and did a new assessment for Townsend, and our new assessment switch over to the omnibus budget. The new amount is coming in at $12,358,227. with that amount, it's an increase of 315,000 over the FY '23. And so that's a 2.6% increase. There would be no override required at this point.
You didn't get any.
Yep.
Well, they still have the town meeting to say we didn't get any, and the other two towns as well.
Right. Yeah. And they have new assessments that have come in also. So our assessment can be covered by our budget. So I think Article 6, is a take no action at town meeting. So I don't believe Article 6 will be presented. It was there in case we needed the override.
So now we don't need an override.
Now we don't need an override,
Good.
and it was voted down last night.
Yep.
So were there other cuts made to the first omnibus we looked at or the recent one we looked at to make up for the rest of the money?
No, so let's, there was, the number they came in with is about the number we were looking for. And
Okay.
and it had projected in the first budget. So the
Okay.
last we looked at was the 1.3 million. And so it's been reduced to the, or 1.3.
And that will be presented in the motion?
Okay, so last week it was 13,148,444. So
And
now
that's what's posted.
that's what's posted. So in the motion, they will update the motion to match this most recent file that the most recent budget that's been prepared with the lower number for the North Middlesex assessment.
What is that number?
It's the 12,358,227.
Okay, thank you.
So a $315,000 increase, like you said, over 23, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
And if I look at this, I did the math on there. I don't know if you can see it. This is 790,217 less than we saw last week in last week's budget proposed. So it's a pretty, we're closing in on $800,000 less assessment than we had a week ago. I'm gonna hide a couple of them over that time. Just to see if it makes it easier to see. And so if we look at the warrant, Article 6 had to do with we don't need to take any action on Article 6 because the amount on the line can be covered in the budget.
Do we have to make a motion, or is that up to the select?
When it's introduced on the floor, I would expect it at that time that
The
the
selectmen,
selectmen
right.
would
Okay,
push it through as take no action.
all right.
What would happen if they didn't remove it in the other two towns? And it passed, both the town meeting and
In the other two
In
towns,
the other two towns,
we've had, we have to do it.
but that's the old budget that we couldn't afford. Now the new budget, we can
We're
afford.
gonna afford it, yeah.
So,
right.
So the other two towns have also been reduced, their assessments.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of like, it's not just Townsend's assessment, all three towns have had.
Oh, I figured that, but I don't know. Do you know when the other two have their election and their town meeting?
The elections were both yesterday, and town meetings, I believe, is May 3rd in Pepperell, and the Saturday, I think, in Ashby.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 5th or 6th. It's but that's just off the top of my head. I'd have to confirm it, but that's what I think I remember reading as I went through those towns. So with that, do we want to make a recommendation of take no action on Article 6?
I think we should, I don't even know if we have to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and if the selectmen are gonna do it, I don't see why we need to.
But I think the public will expect us to.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we should, to give our opinions, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move as said. No action.
I'll second the no action.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Nope.
None being heard, a roll call, please.
Carolyn Bezikas, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes?
Sam Grant, yes?
John Hayes, yes. Unanimous. Okay. I'm just gonna put the little in here, copy it, and Article 7, we had not voted on. Article 7 is to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of money. The sum will be filled in on that day. It's kind of like usually the warrant has a blank and an underlying amount, but as we go through each of the articles on whether this passes or fails, this amount will be adjusted and read in at that time at town meeting.
We don't usually do it that way, do we? I
Um,
thought we always had a total and then just adjusted it at the end.
we, let's see.
Will we know what the total is? by then?
We don't, until certain articles either pass or fail,
We don't know.
we don't know. It's kind of like, so we have to, this particular one has to be determined at that time based on,
Well, I thought what they always did before was take what was submitted. And that's why we have a balanced or unbalanced budget. Then we dick around with it till we get it to balance and then put down that sum. And then what goes as more or less, they work on rebalancing the budget according to those sums. It may be just the way I handle it in my mind. I'm sorry.
yeah, no. It's gonna be, okay, so, so this is the one we had been working with, and, for the recap sheet, the warrant articles and how much was going to be transferred, and whether it was free cash. So we did, provide our input to Eric. He has updated the master sheet that he's maintaining. And so that the number as it stands today would be 432,631 for free cash use. So that would be the number as of today. But again, if any of these articles fail, then that amount has to change.
Would that increase it?
Most of it, you can't increase,
You can
my
decrease.
understanding, you can decrease a
But you
line,
can't
but you
increase.
can't increase a line. It's in the warrant. So this is the amount, the maximum amount. unless there's a change to,
Okay,
to lower one of these numbers. So,
should we go with that number or not?
we can go with that number because that's what we have today.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and that's what we go into town meeting with. And if something doesn't pass or the amount gets lowered, we'll adjust that number appropriately and fill it in at the time they read the
Read the
motion.
article, okay.
Yeah.
So what does that leave us for free cash? If we would, that's the amount we have, correct?
That's
The
amount we-
432?
Yeah. Just scrolling down, that is,
71?
yeah,
Okay. All right,
71.
thank you.
yeah. Okay, so, with that, is there a motion to recommend the article to transfer the free sum amount, free cash sum amount?
Of the 432?
Yeah, so right now, we only have the warrant article, so, and we have the recap sheet, so we know, based on the recap sheet, that the number will be 432 and change. So
So how will that read?
it will read, they'll take this article and, when it talks about the transfer from free cash, a sum of money, necessary to balance the budget, they will fill in the amount of the 432 or anything that gets adjusted
Okay,
on that day. So this is the living line that you don't know until the very end.
so do we recommend the 432 or do we hold off or what?
Just recommend the money, I think, maybe not a dollar amount.
Recommend the action to transfer it, yeah.
Okay.
And we can make the recommendation that we recommend and we'll confer in the final dollar value. We can say we recommend it with the we will be involved in the calculation and understand that what the change would be, if any, to that 432. So we can recommend to approve the motion with validation of the amount at town meeting.
I make the motion that we validate the amount of town meeting.
Okay. So we recommend this article in conferring that we recommend it they confirm it on the day.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, any further questions, discussion?
John, what are these sheets here?
If just the change for each line. So, none being heard, a roll call vote,
Just until the items.
you can just,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Roll call vote to recommend Article 7.
Geraldine Bezikas, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea would know.
Sam Grant, yes. I understand what's doing. I agree with Andrea too.
I kind of do too. I wish there was an amount in there, but like he said, the
Well,
other article's got to pass or fail first, which
Right.
we've never done before.
the thing is that it's the way the article is worded.
Yeah.
They expect an unbalanced budget. We should be going into town meeting with a balanced budget. And you can't make up ongoing expenses with free cash. It's a disaster. It just eats you up eventually, and not that long ahead of time. So I just can't vote for this.
Did we bring it back for reconsideration for vote
Um,
to change? To not recommend it?
Sure.
Or
We can, no, we can,
Or will it not make any
Um,
difference?
The thing is that we have to balance the budget, so it's got to come from someplace.
it's gotta come from someplace, but if you don't have enough free cash to balance it, what's the?
Yeah, that's a thought. That is a thought.
And so let's, I hadn't voted, so I would say I was going to be for, but we can immediately bring this back up for, do we want to reconsider Article 7 and discuss the wording and see if the motion will be different?
Yeah,
I'd like to do that, bring it back into reconsideration.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 7. Do we have a second to reconsider?
I'll second.
Um, Thank you. So right now, we'll take a voice vote to reconsider our vote on Article 7. That's what we're voting on. So if you're voting in the affirmative, you're voting to
Reconsider.
reconsider on Article 7.
Gerald Mazeika's reconsider.
Mark Hussey, same.
Andrea was the same.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. We are now back to reconsider.
2-1.
Okay, so I guess I hadn't got that in the way Andrea has stated it. It needs to be more clearly stated. So we don't have, Article 7 is not written in a way that confirms an amount that is not going to be larger than the amount.
Of free cash we have.
So, so we will take that. We may need to have a meeting before
To find out what that
town
number
meeting
is.
to find out what
That
what the number is.
is.
Yeah.
I think we've done that before, haven't we, Andrea?
Sounds
Yes,
like
we
last year.
Yeah,
Last minute finance.
So
we might get a better clue in if we can get the
see what the motion reads.
motions. And usually I don't know how the selectmen now are handling it, but you give the warrant usually once it's posted over to council to
Mhm.
legalize the motions, to tell you how to make the motions right. So they may have the motions already, and we have, at least in the past, gotten copies of all the motions if we've asked for them.
Mhm. Yeah, okay, so we can ask for the motion on that one and move forward. And, okay. I'm just gonna. And I'll get that. We'll get that. Okay, so that covers all the articles except the big budget article, the budget itself. And so we still have one more. One more that we'll have to vote on when we get that. So we may need to have a meeting. I'd have to look at the schedule and see what we have. It would be quick just voting on Article 7 once we have the motion available to us. And so that can be a relatively quick meeting that we can pull together, and maybe even do remote, just so we vote on that and finalize the recommendations. And if we do it by Monday, then we will be able to print and the recommendation sheets, to have them available for town meeting on Tuesday. Okay. And also on the agenda was to look at the recommendations we have, so that is still open for the annual town meeting pieces, but was there anything else on any of the other recommendations?
I had no questions or concerns.
So I'm just gonna highlight this because it's an incomplete thought here. So, again, in any editing, something, I may have highlighted something and then hit the delete key and deleted it, so I'll finish that up. So, yeah, okay. So, when we look at the town meeting warrant, we'll go back up and I'll just mention the item that confused me a little bit until I finally realized it. So I was saying that one of the revolving funds had changed. And if we look at the numbers, they have one through 6, and then it goes 8 through 11. So the one that is missing was number 7 in FY 22. So the last time we had seen it, that was a building inspector line for fees related to building the new high school. So for that revolving fund to have gone away, there is no real issue. It was funded by the school as they were building it, and they funded the inspectional services that were related specifically to the building of the new high school. So for that revolving fund to have gone away, it's fine. It's just that we have this little break in the numbering schemes.
Just how hard would it have been for them to renumber this, though?
I know.
That's very difficult. It's government, you know.
Yeah,
Well-
you must be right.
I would take an act of Congress.
It's difficult now. Yeah.
You're not gonna get anything out
It's
of
a
there.
financial thing.
Yeah.
It was just an overlook. They didn't even look down to see what they had. Please.
It's very possible. Yep. You deleted the line you didn't need anymore and didn't look at the numbering scheme. So that's all. I just wanted to mention it. We have that. If we have it available, if anybody questions why, the answer is available to us.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I would have thought that, I wouldn't even have thought about it. I wouldn't have noticed it really. So if somebody did ask, it could be embarrassing that you wouldn't have an answer for something like that. Thank you.
So, look at too many. Yeah.
Hmm.
Too many. Okay. So now the big,
Elephant in the room.
yeah, the big budget numbers is kind of like, do we want to go through department by department? And take a look. So,
How much
is-
has changed, do you think, since we last looked at this?
okay, so let me jump to changes. At 4/11, so today's 4/14. So this is today's budget. If I highlight and look at the yellows, there's 2 lines that have changed from the last time we looked at it. The North Middlesex assessment is and then the town insurance share has changed. The town insurance is lower than what we last saw. We last saw 988,000, and now we're seeing 3,796 less. So we're seeing 984. So we're seeing about 4,000 less than we saw last week. These are the only two lines that are changed.
Were you given a reason why the insurance dropped?
Did we lose Dawn?
Lost the world, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe he's coming back up.
TCAM, there's TCAM again.
Yeah, hi, I'm not sure what went on, but it looks like Hartley went offline, which probably dragged down the selectman's laptop Don was using. So just hang tight. The meeting is still being recorded. I'm not sure if it's going out on Channel 9, but we'll see if they come back.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Yes,
Dave.
There's been some
Here.
electrical issues at Town Hall today where they've been losing power. So we'll see what happens.
Yes?
Okay, I think I'm back, Don, if you want to resume the meeting.
Talk to you later, Jerry Lynn. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Don, did you hear me? Don?
I can hear you. I had to unmute.
Okay, I'm back on with the meeting, so I think you can resume it. I don't know what happened, but my apologies. But I think you can resume the meeting.
Sam?
Yes, I'm here. How about you?
Oh, I'm fine. What, you have a good Civil War story to tell? Maybe if we get talking and then gross, then it'll all come back.
No, you were called a little while ago about the most important one. Grant being promoted to the general of all generals. Job he well earned, a title he well earned.
The second general that's happened
Yes,
to.
but Washington,
Who's the
when they
first
did the purging, Washington was incorporated because of the bicentennial back in '76.
Yeah. It's public too, or no?
They keep on coming in and out.
Yeah,
We do. It's kind of like, so,
Here we are.
okay.
we in, we out, we in, we out.
Are we playing hide and go seek?
I don't know, but I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, I just had to restart my network and try to come in again so I can share from my file. So, and there we go. Okay. Share.
Don, you're back and you can share.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks, Hartley. And so, looks like I am sharing. We should only see the list right now. And if I pop over to there, okay. So the last question we had was what had changed in this budget from the last ones we had looked at. And again, there were only two lines. I had listed the change, and if I highlight the lines and the ones that are different, it was only the North Middlesex assessment, and the health insurance
Right.
amount is about 4,000 less than it was a week ago.
Do we know why it's $4,000 less?
I don't, I was just able to do this calculation and find these lines real shortly before the meeting. I would it could be that they had applied ARPA money, or they had, received their final numbers with the final counts based on head count and the jobs that are going to be offering the money the insurance this year.
Well, they've hired some new people, so I always worry if they just this line item is always over budgeted some because
Mhm.
people can change their insurance, new people come on, and you never know what program they will take or what plan they will take.
Right.
But it in at the end of the year, if you haven't noticed it, we do most of our municipal transfers from that line item, from money that, was extra there.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if they cut it too low, we may be in trouble with this. Not that I'm glad it's reduced,
Yeah,
but
but
I
if we look at it, it is listed as 143,000 high, 558 higher than last year. So we have increased it significantly over last year.
okay.
So I think that takes into account, and I'm just estimating, and I didn't, so that looks like roughly if an insurance policy is estimated at $23,000, then that's about 6.25 people added in. And again, those numbers can be, we had two positions that were being funded by ARPA money. And this year they're being included. So we see this number is increased. It's not a full hit to the budget because we are still using the ARPA funds. We do have a limited amount of time before the town budget has to pick it up. So seeing the full value helps us with that future planning and coming up with a plan of how to get there when the ARPA funds go away.
Absolutely.
So that's what's different to me in this year's budget versus last year's budget. We have visibility into true costs for everything for the town. And can identify those one-time monies that are gonna go away that have to be replaced with recurring revenue.
If we're going with a true cost,
Yeah,
then it's reasonable to assume that free cash will be considerably less next year.
You gotta keep your fingers off of it.
right, if we run that potential, yes. that free cash could be less. The better we do at budgeting, the smaller free cash is gonna be year over year.
Yes,
And that being the case, and us depending on it to cover the snow and ice deficit account, we have to get better at that too, and have to fund more into the snow and ice so that we're not counting on over budgeting and paying it back.
Yeah.
Or the other option, I've been doing a little investigation. We look into increasing what the reserve fund is. They say, DLS is saying that you can go up to about 5% of your budget in a finance committee reserve fund. So we could start using that as where snow and ice gets reimbursed from if we do significantly increase what the reserve fund is. So we have some options to help us going forward and items to look at to try to help, getting better budgeting and, maybe, identifying it and having it as a line item that can be covered and used from the budget, like the reserve fund.
if we increase the reserve fund, which I don't think is altogether a bad idea,
Mhm.
we will have to really review the rules so that we can stick to them consistently so that the money is spread equally.
Yep.
A lot of times they will say still have money in expenses, but the thing is going to be a big drain. Plus, you're not supposed to release from the reserve fund until the money is gone in that line item.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we will have to be sure that we're up to date and taking a rigid, fair approach with everyone.
Right.
Yep, and that's, the idea of that helps, I think. If people are budgeting extra just in case into their budgets and every department's doing it, everybody's putting in a little bit just in case. If we reduce the departmental budgets that have those higher amounts and put it into a reserve fund, those funds will deplete sooner and the reserve fund, process will handle it quite well because there'd be no money left in those accounts.
Right.
So it's something that, kicked off or triggered when we were having discussions back on the budget summit on the Saturday in March. So as we get into FY25 planning, I think those are the kinds of discussions we need to have of how better to budget going forward and address, a tighter budget and making sure that we have, money in the budget that can cover snow and ice. And we need to check if doing a reserve fund and using the reserve fund instead of free cash to pay the snow and ice is an acceptable use of it. And I think it may be, but we need to check that out. So getting a little off subject, but that's I think into the planning, for next year. And the earlier we start with that, the better.
Well, technically speaking, the FinCom never meets in the summertime. Right
Mhm.
after town meeting, we just all go to sleep.
Good night.
It would be easy because these would be informal meetings. I mean, because we're working through plans and stuff.
Yeah.
And we could have the meetings maybe any time of day or whatever, or night or whatever, and just work to hash these things over and get them ready. Maybe then when budget time comes, we might have to take a stronger stand, but at least we're all sort of up to date with our various thoughts.
Yep, because once we get through town meeting, usually you're right, it's kind of like it's been a busy season, a lot of meetings, and we take it and then sort of pause. And then, but make sure that we are there for the municipal transfers that happen in the last 2 weeks of the year and the first 2 weeks of, FY '24. Because we know there's usually heavy, transfer requests, so. But we can set meetings, as we approach, we'll set them, the future meetings, and we can set them so that we're doing them in the summer at a convenient time, for everybody, and we can set those, rules, and it goes to, as you said, the, following the rules that are set in the guidelines for budget preparation, because there are guidelines, that we're probably not following, in the capital planning with the item that's less than $10,000 is one of those. So we want to go back, look at the rules, see if any need change, and see if we can get them updated if they need to be updated, or start talking and making sure everybody's knows what the rules are and follow them next year and tighter. So I think it's all good.
Well, I think it'd be good for departments too, because then if they have to come to us for a reserve fund, they
Mhm.
will already know what to expect.
Agreed. It's those are definitely the pieces in what we need to do going forward. Okay, so we're at 5. There's no way we gonna try to bring this back to talk about the budget in the file we have. We have pretty much constantly looked at all the lines in the budget. Do we need to visit anything individually in the budget? Or do we want to vote by the sections, like general government versus safety? Okay, so we have the big sections, the general government, and we can see that the change year over year, and things like that. The highways and streets, we know the big change and the big item is that looks like a big number, but most of it's got to do with the pavement. There is a new employee in highways and the highway department. So again, that's based on town feedback to the selectmen. They felt an additional person in highways and streets would.
When did that take place?
It's in the budget for this year. It's kind of like, I think they've posted it, the position already.
Mhm.
But that is being one of the largest complaints by townspeople that they received. They felt that increasing the staff
Would help, yeah.
would help be able to
Yeah.
repair roads.
So how much, there was an amount, what was it, $200,000 or something that was put in there for the roads? That was supposed to, they claim it, well, they don't claim it's true. We were supposed to, if funds were available,
Yeah.
add to that account.
I gotta go
But
over
we
that
were
sometime
supposed
this
to add,
summer.
we were supposed to add to it from 3 areas. The state money, excise tax, and I forget what the third one was.
I don't remember the if available.
Well, that,
Oh,
when we
I
voted to
remember
fund
that. I
this a
brought
couple
that
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
That was-
Okay, so there it is, what, 20?
it's line 529 and it's 201,000, yeah, 201,474 is the number right now.
Okay.
line 529. So I just needed to get the line, I'm like,
It's unfortunate. We're not going into this with a balanced budget, like Andrea said. And
okay, so let me do the sheet. We should be balanced. The whole idea was that it's balanced. So the recap is, it's identified, the total to be raised is the 27,200,787.
and I just look at the free cash we're spending too.
Yeah.
But I know we need roads. I just don't know what the answer is.
Yeah,
Maybe that could be cut a little bit. It's not enough to do anything anyway. So I don't know what the answer is.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
And-
I
and-
hate to spend all this free cash. I really do.
In regard to the balanced budget, that article, if you had a balanced budget to go in,
Mhm.
then you wouldn't have needed that article to balance it out with free cash.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, so it's not a balanced budget with revenue that's available this year. We need to take the free cash to balance the budget.
Correct.
So,
How much of that ban, free cash you taking?
we're taking the bulk of it. There's 489,030, and we're taking 432,631. So we're taking the bulk of it, leaving about 71,400.
And then we all get down on our knees and pray nothing goes wrong during the year.
Exactly. 70,000 isn't much money.
It's
Like
not.
summer.
Yeah.
It's not when you had almost 500 to 500,000 to start with, 475, 489, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And again, I think back to, if available. I mean, gosh. And I know we gotta do something. I know the town's crazed about our roads.
But a couple of years ago, they had the opportunity to borrow, and they didn't have to borrow the full amount, and they turned it down by three,
I think that's back when the school was still costing, when they built the school, that people took a good hit for several years. And I think that had a lot to do with not spending that money.
Well, do you think it should be brought back up again at some point? Not this
Well,
year.
I mean, we're trying to fund it other ways, with that 200,000 to start with. It's not a lot of money. But I hate to spend free cash on, all that free cash.
Right. Which is what we did last year
Well,
too.
weren't we supposed to be putting 50,000 a year away? And then if it was available,
I thought it was 50,000.
I did too, to be honest with you. I thought it was a much less figure. I think they're just throwing this in here to appease the public,
so
showing good faith effort.
I think it was 50,000 a year, and we weren't able to do it for a couple of years because we didn't have it.
Right. Yeah.
So
Right. So it was always in the budget during,
it's always been in the budget,
but it gets written down
right?
Yeah.
when they were trying to balance the budget, they take it
I-
out.
I wonder if instead of hiring personnel, which I have questioned as well, I just have questioned it.
Yeah.
If maybe we could have used ARPA funds for the road. Because it's a one-time expense, and that's one-time money.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I don't know why.
Yeah, they'd have to check. I don't know that road maintenance is something that Harper would.
Well, we're repairing a bridge with it, aren't we?
Well, I don't know.
There are a number of things we're doing with it. I can't remember them all either.
I think one of them is the bridge up off Mason Road there at Greenville Road. if I remember correctly.
I think
And-
you're right.
And that's with ARPA money?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Okay. And again, I don't know all of the potentials, but there is also the infrastructure bill that is available that maybe seems more suited to roads and repairs than the ARPA money.
Well, and there's one thing, I tend to be critical, and it's just the way I am.
Not well, good.
But we have to always remember that whether we approve of the way the ARPA funds went or didn't go, or what they were used for or what they weren't used for, it was under the control of the selectmen. And their perspective of the needs of the town are quite different than ours.
Yes, believe me.
But you can't say that they're wrong. It's just a different view. You know,
Correct.
we have to, perhaps in the future, we can work to more of a medium for these things.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's next?
Um,
We vote on that first package? Should we?
Sorry, back. You mean like the first section, general government?
Yeah, yeah. It's up to you guys. I mean, I don't have anything more to discuss with it. I just, let you know my opinion.
No, and I'm just gonna jump back to that recap sheet right now. It's kind of like, so here is highlighted current revenue sources, including the ARPA funds, so that we can see how much we have to replace. And so that total is the 7,619,000. Then with that, they took and said, we have to raise the amount for the total budget minus these other sources. And so what we need to raise from the taxes and the tax levy is the 19 million. So the idea here is that, I maybe just lost it again. The idea is, yeah, I lost it. So the number is, it's a balanced budget with those two numbers, with the amount coming from the real estate tax levy and the other revenue resources that were identified. It is available. We do have a balanced budget with everything we have.
Right, I understand that. My complaint was just the amount of free cash we were using.
Well, does this put us right at the levy limit?
Yeah, sorry, I can't share right now, but yeah, it's about 15,000. So that's the levy limit. Now, and we do have an excess levy capacity of 12,608,492. So,
How do we do that?
I believe it's the valuations, have significantly increased on real estate in
Oh,
town.
of course.
So-
Okay, yeah.
So, but 2.5 ties us to the limits of raising only 2.5% over last year's taxes. So, plus the new bill, there is capacity if we do a 2.5 override not to exceed the maximum tax levy that we have. But again, it's a story. It's a story we have to build. How does this position Townsend better for the future? and why would an override, be a good thing to do for the town? We didn't have time to prepare that message. We weren't necessarily involved early enough on to help message with the messaging of it. So I think moving forward and looking at how do we look this year, where we're just scraping by with another, try to get a budget that's balanced at town meeting, and that's what we're doing. And that's what's been presented, but show the path forward of what the town's gonna look like, 2 years out, 5 years out, that kind of thing, if we don't try to raise additional revenue. And how do we raise additional revenues to let tax, can we do it without raising taxes if we find a different revenue source? So it's a long haul to get there. So, so I'm trying to get back to it. So with the general government number, let me see if I can get connected back online again. And Hartley, I'm gonna try to launch Zoom again. Try to come in.
Okay, Don, you're back and can now swing share.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we're back. Yeah. So we're back at those big sections on the government. We had looked, we're not happy with the amount of free cash or how little there is left at the end of this.
And we're not happy that the free cash is funding ongoing expenses.
Right.
And again, that's the number we had looked at in the recap sheet that,
Looks to me like we don't have a choice, at least at this point.
right. Yep.
So
I agree. We probably don't have a choice, but we have to remember not to easily accept it, because then we would accept maybe more and more every year, and suddenly we'll be
I think we do.
Yeah.
All right, so we can get moving, and if nobody objects, I'll make a motion to accept the general government total of $1,525,974.
I'll second it.
I have 1,887,000.
No, that's not,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that was a change. I'll amend that to 1,887,286. My apologies.
Oh, right.
Don't look at my screen, Andrea.
Okay, so general government Mark has made the motion to accept. And did somebody second? Did I miss it?
Andrea did.
Andrea, thank you. No further discussion, roll call vote.
Carolyn Bezikas, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Okay. Next is the public safety total. Yeah, 3,850,740. Do we have a motion to accept?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We accept the public safety total at $3,850,740.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Oh.
Any additional discussion, questions? When being heard, roll call vote.
Gerald Bazekis, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Okay, next is the education amount, 14,941,587.
I'll make a motion. We accept the education total of $14,941,587.
Second.
Okay, any further questions on education? None being heard. Roll call vote, please.
Gerald Bazekis, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
You're so enthused, Sam.
Yeah, look at
We
the
all
size-
are.
Look at their portion of our budget.
I know.
How enthusiastic I should be about it.
Yeah, I hear you, but our hands are tied.
Yeah, well, when we tie up some of the schools,
Well, I was gonna say, when we get into it, that's into the future, that's gonna be the piece. And we need to look at historically how much of the budget that is. We're approaching that education is approaching and nearing 60% of the town budget.
right?
If it continues on that trajectory, we are not a sustainable town. We can't operate on less and less for the town budget, so. Needs,
Yeah.
education needs to be in control and not growing and eating away at the town's portion of the budget.
They need to
Exactly.
Towns earlier,
Yeah.
early.
It's kind of like, and hit it, and next year they're negotiating with 5 business units, and so what they come up with and how they negotiate is, they need to know what direction from the towns going in that we need to give them.
Right.
Okay. Next, highways and streets.
I will make a motion to accept highway and streets for $1,065,360.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? None being heard, roll call vote.
Gerald Bazekis, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Okay. Okay, next on the line, solid waste total.
That's not much of an increase. I'm happily surprised.
This is the third year on a 3-year contract
Oh, okay.
that we're
Okay.
approaching.
Wait, hold your breath.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so again, we talk about negotiations and, then
Right.
the contract will go out for bid and we'll see where it goes, so. And I'm sorry, it's been like, yeah, so, it's good that we had a 3-year contract and we're approaching the 3rd year of it, so that's good number for us. Do we have a motion or did I miss it? I'm sorry.
No, I'll make a motion. We recommend the solid waste total for $770,053.
Second,
Okay, we had the motion and the second. Is any further discussion? None being heard, and a roll call vote, please.
Chairman Bazika, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Unanimous. Next is the human services total.
What is that exactly?
This is, okay, hang on. Six,
Where are we?
678. We're this, oh, let me see if I can get there.
Don't make a big deal out of it. I'm
It's
not
kind of-
quite understanding what that was, even though I looked at it 5 times.
Council on Aging.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Benefit, Board of Health,
Mhm.
Townsend Housing Authority, Townsend Housing Trust, so that's what those are.
Okay, thank you.
And cemetery and parks, okay.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we recommend human services total for 596,202.
Okay. And-
Second,
Okay, any additional discussion or questions? None being heard, a roll call vote, please.
Chairman Bazika, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Okay, next is the culture and recreation. And this would be library, Memorial Day concerts and recreation department.
I'll make a motion that we recommend culture and recreation total for the amount of $527,190.
Second,
Okay, we had a second from Jerry. Any further discussion, questions? None heard, a roll call vote, please.
Chairman Bazika, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. Okay, next is the list of debt, long-term and short-term. These are all the, loans and interest, and payments that we're making to,
Right.
pay the bills that we're,
Okay, I'll make a motion. We recommend the debt total at $456,115.
Second,
okay, so we had a second from Jerry. Last, any additional questions? None being heard, or roll call vote, please.
Chairman Bazika, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. And last is the insurances total. This is all of the insurance, the general liability, health insurance, Medicare, unemployment.
I'll make a motion that we recommend the insurance total for the amount of $2,300,102.
Okay, we had a second from Jerry. So. Any questions? None being heard, roll call vote.
Rodriguez, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. And just as a formality, this, shrink this.
What was the total budget for the town altogether?
Well, that's what the total,
Yeah, everything.
there, maybe.
Looks like 26 million.
It's
Yeah.
26,394,636. So, so all the lines that we just approved is total, the total budget is at 26,394,636.
Can I ask a question?
Yep,
When you put the pointer on that, then over in the next box, there's a little box that has writing in it. What's that writing say?
it says quick analysis, use the quick analysis tool to quickly analyze your data.
Oh, okay.
So,
I just was curious. I'd not seen that before.
yeah, with new versions of it, when I highlight them, down on the very bottom, I'm highlighting it, it will automatically sum it for me so that I can make sure that the total on line 787 of the budget matches the lines I highlight. And so, so that's, you know, it's just a double check of that when they did this has a large formula of adding all of these individual columns together and boxes. And so that's how they do it, and that's good. This is just a way of double checking that the formulas match what the numbers are.
Thank you.
So yeah, lots of different ways to get there, but you know, and that's what we have to do. It's kind of like we need to watch those numbers, make sure formulas are properly set up, and that we're not calculating any kind of errors. So, I don't, do we need to vote on the whole budget, or just know that everything, knowing that it matches, the 26 matches to everything we approved? I don't think we need to really
Right.
approve the total number because it matches everything we voted individually.
Right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Andrew,
so
do you wanna ride next week?
Yes, please. How early are we gonna go? Because we're gonna have a meeting before for that one item.
do we want to try to do, I haven't looked online yet to see, if, well, I'm thinking potentially we could do it Monday and then update the recommendation sheet.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that too.
Monday at 4?
Well, I'm looking to see, I have to go to TCAM and get,
Yeah.
see what they have. I don't see any meetings scheduled on the
Oh
first.
boy. I'm in a
We're
golf tournament Monday the 1st, but I should be available. Oh boy.
You may not.
A golf tournament.
Yeah, you know, and it's a fundraiser one, so we like to have fun.
Well, I mean, summer's coming. I think that's great.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I might not be able to. We're
Okay,
not st- yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay, then.
I might not be able to make the 1st. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's kind of like, where you've been to all the meetings, I'd like to keep it consistent with the group of 5 that we've been having show up. Is there a time early Tuesday morning that works?
Yeah, I think I can do after 9 o'clock on Tuesdays mornings. I can certainly do that.
Okay, does say Tuesday at 9:30 work for everybody? I'll see if
Yes.
I can get the TCAM. And then
Sure.
they can-
It'll only be a short meeting anyways, right?
Right.
Exactly, is to hit that number, read,
Yep.
know what the motion is, read it, and then vote on it, and
Okay.
I will get that out to every, yeah, I will put the request in, and, we'll shoot for Tuesday at 9:30.
Will we be here?
We can, or we can do it by Zoom and
Oh.
phone. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't want people to have to come here twice, but we can certainly do it and set up it if we
Okay.
want to use the
All
hour.
right,
So I'll check and make sure that the room's available on top of it,
okay.
kind of, because that's not our normal. Okay, so we're going at this point that we'll have a quick meeting on Tuesday, May 2nd, the morning, at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and if you have to change that, just, I'm good after 8 or after 9, like I said, so.
Yeah, I'm available. Just drop the email so I know when to tune in.
Okay, and Sam, was it better to get the email that had the Zoom link in it?
Yes, that's best.
Okay, then we'll do the same as we get the Zoom meetings going forward. Had I known you would have, it was a hassle to do it, I would have done that sooner for you. So,
No problem.
okay, then with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn for today.
I make a motion, we adjourn today.
5:32, a second.
Second,
I'll say, go ahead.
Jerry seconded, roll call vote.
Gerald Ziegler, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes?
Cam Grant, yes.
All right.
Okay, and Don Hayes, yes.
Have a good weekend.